Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you something, ladies. I don't care how it ended. If he walked away, cheated, ghosted, or simply couldn't handle the woman you are, you didn't lose anything. No, ma'am. He lost you. Let me tell you something that I need you to really hear with your whole heart. Your value doesn't go down just because someone didn't see it. You didn't lose anything when he walked out of your life. If anything, you were released from someone who never deserved to be standing next to you in the first place. I know it hurts. I know it feels like your world just cracked open and dropped you into a place you never expected to be. But baby girl, let me tell you, you didn't lose him. He lost you. And what he lost, he ain't never finding again. See, sometimes we get caught up thinking, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? That's your heart talking out of pain, not truth. Because the truth is, you could have loved harder. You could have supported more. You could have bent over backwards trying to make it work. And none of that would have mattered. You know why? Because you weren't the problem. He just wasn't ready for a woman like you. You were loyal when you had every reason to walk away. You believed in him when he didn't even believe in himself. You showed up heart first. Ready to build, ready to grow, ready to love like it was your last chance. And he treated it like it was disposable. That's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of his immaturity, his inability to handle the weight of a real woman, his failure to recognize a blessing standing right in front of him. Let me paint this clearly for you. A real woman is a rare thing. You don't find her in every crowd. You don't swipe your way into her kind of love. You don't just stumble across someone who's got beauty, brains, backbone, and a heart big enough to carry both your pain and your dreams. You were that. You are still that. And him not seeing it, that's his blind spot, not your burden. You see, a man who's not ready will always make a woman feel like she's too much, too emotional, too intense, too strong, too honest, too independent. But you weren't too much. You were just too much for him. That's a sign that he wasn't your destination. He was your detour. And even though detours feel frustrating, sometimes they're God's way of keeping you from crashing into something worse down the road. And I know what you're thinking. You think if you'd done something different, maybe he would have stayed. Maybe he would have treated you better. Maybe he would have loved you right. Let me stop you right there. You can't force a man to see what he refuses to open his eyes to. You could have been everything he said he ever wanted, and it still wouldn't have been enough because he wasn't ready to receive it. That's not on you. That's not your failure. That's his loss. Don't ever let a man's poor decision make you doubt your worth. Don't sit around replaying every conversation, every fight, every moment trying to figure out what you could have fixed. Sometimes the only thing you needed to do was walk away sooner. But you stayed because you loved. You stayed because you hoped. You stayed because you believed. And that says everything about the kind of woman you are, and nothing about what he deserved. Let me tell you something I've learned watching people try to circle back once they realize what they had. By the time they figure it out, the door is already closed. Because a woman who knows her worth, once she heals, she don't go back. She moves different. She talks different. She glows different. And the same man who once made her feel small, he starts to look real lost trying to figure out how he let her slip away. And that's when it hits him. That's when he remembers the way you smiled when he walked through the door. The way you defended him when folks talked down on him. The way you poured love into a place in him that had been dry for years. And now it's gone. Not because you stopped loving, but because you finally started loving yourself more. So don't you ever confuse a man's inability to love you with your own value. You're not hard to love. You're not difficult. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking someone to show up with the same kind of heart that you bring to the table. And if they can't do that, let them walk. Let them go. And while they're out there looking for a version of you in every woman they meet, you'll be out here growing, healing, shining, becoming even more of the woman they never deserve. Let me break something down for you because somebody out there needs to hear this loud and clear. A good woman is rare. I'm talking about the kind of woman who loves you with no conditions, supports you without hesitation, and prays for you when you don't even know how to pray for yourself. That kind of woman, she's a gift. And let me tell you, when a man loses that, he's not just losing a relationship, he's losing a one-of-a-kind blessing that most folks don't get twice in a lifetime. See, the problem today is that too many men think they can play around with a good woman and she'll just stay. That she'll keep putting up with the excuses, the disrespect, the empty promises. But what they don't realize is that a good woman, she ain't gonna beg you forever. She might love you with everything she's got, but once she figures out that you don't value her, that love turns into strength. And that strength, that's what walks out the door. Now let's be real about what makes a good woman so rare. It ain't just the way she looks. Beauty is everywhere. I'm talking about the substance, the stuff that can't be bought, faked, or found in every corner. I'm talking about the kind of woman who sees your potential when all you've got are broken pieces. The kind of woman who speaks life into you when the world is tearing you down. She's patient, she's kind, She forgives when it hurts, and she shows up even when she's tired. That's not common. You can't swipe your way into a woman like that. You can't run game and expect her to stick around forever. That kind of woman, she's built different. And if you get the privilege of being loved by her, you better understand that you've been chosen. Not because she couldn't do better, not because she didn't have other options, but because she saw something in you worth believing in, and she chose to love you anyway. But when a man gets comfortable, when he starts thinking that love like that will always be there no matter how he acts, that's when he fumbles. That's when he starts making the biggest mistake of his life. He starts treating her like she's ordinary. Like she'll always answer the phone, like she'll always forgive, always be there, always pick up the pieces he keeps breaking. But baby, even the strongest woman gets tired. Even the best woman reaches her limit. And when she finally walks away, that's when the regret sets in. That's when he starts to realize that the peace she brought to his life can't be found everywhere. That the love she gave him, unfiltered, unconditional, unshaken, doesn't come around again. He starts looking for her in women who smile like her, talk like her, move like her. But he don't find her. Because that woman, she was one of one. And here's the part that stings for him. A good woman doesn't come with signs flashing above her head saying, I'm the one you'll never find again. She just is. And if you're too foolish to see her while she's loving, you'll recognize her value only when she's loving herself instead. That's the tragedy of it. Good women don't leave with chaos. They leave with quiet. No yelling, no drama, no revenge. Just silence. Just a clean exit. And that's when it hits hardest. Because her absence is louder than any argument. Her peace, once taken for granted, becomes the loudest echo in his life. Now don't get it twisted. A good woman isn't perfect. She has her flaws. She has her moments. But even in her imperfection, she's consistent. She's committed. She's not out here playing games, wasting time, or trying to be someone she's not. What she offers is genuine. And in a world full of temporary, she is something permanent if you treat her right. So to any woman out there who's been doubting herself because a man couldn't see her worth, hear me when I say this. You are not ordinary. You are not just another chapter in someone's story. You are the whole damn book. You bring something to the table that no one else does. And if he couldn't see it, that's on him. That's his blindness, his immaturity, his loss. And trust me, he's going to realize it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day he's going to sit down, think back and say, she really loved me. She really had my back. She really was the one. And by then, you'll be gone. Not because you stopped loving him, but because you finally started loving you. You see, when you're a good woman, you don't beg. You don't compete for attention. You know your worth. And once you remember that, you stop settling for halfway love, broken promises, and empty efforts. You start demanding what you give. And the man who's supposed to be in your life, he's going to rise to meet that, not run from it. So let him go if he can't see you. Let him go if he treats you like you're common. Let him go if he doesn't know how to love you right. Because baby, you were never meant to be a background character in someone else's story. You were made to be the leading woman, strong, soft, powerful, and rare. Now let me talk to you about something that don't always make sense when you're hurting. I want you to really lean in and hear this with your spirit. Not just your ears. Sometimes letting go is the blessing. I know that's hard to accept when your heart is still bleeding. When you're waking up every morning hoping the pain was just a bad dream. But truth be told, what feels like a loss today might be the best thing that ever happened to you tomorrow. You see, when someone walks out of your life, especially someone you loved with everything you had, it leaves a hole. It shakes your confidence, your sense of peace, your routine. It makes you question everything. Was it me? Did I not love hard enough? Was I too much? But what you don't realize in that moment is that you were being saved. You were being pulled away from something that wasn't good for you, even if your heart was still attached to it. I've seen it too many times, people clinging to what's hurting them because it's familiar, holding on to relationships that drain them, just because they're scared of the silence. But hear me, peace is better than chaos. And sometimes the breakup is the breakthrough. Sometimes God removes what's blocking your blessing. Sometimes the relationship ends because what's coming next needs room to grow. You can't receive what's meant for you while you're still holding on to what's not. Now I know that might not feel like comfort right now. When someone you gave your all to turns their back on you, it feels like betrayal. It feels like rejection. But more often than not, it's redirection. You're not being punished, you're being protected. Protected from the nights you'd cry yourself to sleep, wondering why love didn't feel safe. Protected from shrinking who you are just to make someone else comfortable. Protected from wasting years trying to fix someone who ain't even trying to fix themselves. Think about it. If it was real, if it was healthy, if it was built on mutual love and respect, it wouldn't have fallen apart the way it did. Real love don't leave you confused. Real love don't manipulate. Real love don't make you feel like you're hard to love. And if someone could walk away from all the love you gave, if they could watch you break and not reach out, that ain't love. That's your sign. And here's the part that most people overlook. When you finally let go, you get to start healing. You get to hear your own voice again without all that noise. You get to sleep at night without wondering who they're texting. You get to look in the mirror and recognize the person staring back. And that's when the blessing starts to show up. That's when clarity kicks in. That's when you start to say, wait a minute, I deserved more than that. I deserved better than what I settled for. You ever notice how once you move on, you start to see things clearly that you were blind to before? All the disrespect and neglect, the way they never really showed up when it mattered, it starts to become obvious. That's not bitterness, that's growth. That's healing. That's you stepping into who you were always meant to be. A woman who's not afraid to let go of what hurts so she can make space for what heals. Let me be real with you. When someone can walk away from you, let them. I don't care how long you were together. I don't care how deep the love felt. If they can leave, if they can sleep peacefully after breaking your heart, they were never built to walk with you into your future. They were only meant to teach you something about yourself. And now that lesson is done, you learn strength in heartbreak. You learn self-worth in solitude. You learn peace in the silence that follows their absence. And eventually you realize that you didn't lose anything. You escaped. You got out. And baby, I know it didn't feel like freedom at first, but you just got released from a weight you were never supposed to carry. Sometimes we pray for love, for growth, for joy, and we think it's going to come wrapped in comfort. But often it shows up through loss, through pain, through endings. And that's when you have to trust that what's falling apart is only making space for something greater. Don't fight to hold on to what God is trying to pull you away from. Don't force yourself to stay where your spirit is suffocating. The blessing ain't always in what you gain. Sometimes it's in what you lose. The phone that stops ringing, the apology that never comes, the person who finally shows you who they really are. That's your blessing too, because now you know, now you see. Now you're free. You may not feel it yet, but one day soon you'll wake up and breathe easier. You'll laugh without heaviness in your chest. You'll look back at the pain and thank it, because it pushed you into a version of yourself that no longer begs for love. A version that expects it, that demands it, that knows how to give it without losing herself in the process. So don't be afraid to let go. Don't be scared of the silence that follows. Don't try to reopen doors that were closed for your protection. You are not empty. You are not broken. You are being positioned for peace. And I promise you that kind of peace is worth everything you had to walk away from. Let me tell you something that some men don't realize until it's too late. You don't just lose a good woman. You lose a soldier, a teammate, a backbone. A woman who truly loves you don't just love you when things are easy. She loves you when it's hard, when you're down. When you don't even love yourself. She'll have your back when you've got nothing but dreams and broken pieces. And when a man walks away from that, he's not walking away from just a relationship. He's walking away from the one person who would have stood in the fire with him and never flinched. See, we live in a time where a lot of people don't understand what loyalty looks like anymore. But a real woman, a good woman, she's built different. She's not in it for what you have. She's not just showing up for the good times, for the praise, the photos, and the attention. No, she's the one who holds it down when nobody else does. She's the one making sure you're fed, encouraged, respected, and still dreaming, even when life's trying to knock the wind out of you. You ever seen a woman love a man with her whole heart, even when he's falling apart? That's not weakness. That's strength. That's commitment. That's somebody who's chosen you, not for what you show the world, but for what you carry inside, even the stuff you try to hide. And that kind of woman, she don't come around every day. You can't replace her with a pretty face. You can't find her energy in just anybody. You can't recreate that kind of presence, because it's real. But here's what breaks my heart. Some men don't realize they had that kind of woman until she's gone. They don't see the depth of her love until it's no longer being poured into. And by the time they recognize what they had, she's already learned how to pour that love back into herself. Because that woman, she's not going to keep standing in the background, clapping for someone who doesn't even see her anymore. She's not going to keep begging to be valued when she's been giving everything she's got. Let me tell you, when a woman like that leaves, it ain't because she stopped loving. No, she leaves when she finally understands that love ain't supposed to hurt all the time. She leaves when the weight she's carrying ain't being shared. She leaves when she realizes she's building a man who wouldn't even hand her a brick if she needed it. And the hardest thing for a good woman to do is walk away, because she stayed longer than she should. She fought harder than most would, and she still prayed for him even while she was breaking. That's the kind of woman we're talking about here. The woman who would have built an empire by your side if you just handed her the blueprint. The woman who would have stuck with you through storms, setbacks, and silent battles. The woman who knows your flaws, your fears, your failures, and still believed in your greatness. She didn't want perfect. She wanted honest. She wanted effort. She wanted a partner, not a project. But some men take that for granted. They start thinking she'll always be there. That no matter how many times they mess up, she'll forgive. That no matter how many nights she goes to bed crying, she'll still get up and smile for him in the morning. But even the strongest women break. Even the most loyal women get tired of being loyal to someone who treats their loyalty like a given, not a gift. And that's where regret lives. Not in the moment he left, but in the moment he realizes she's not coming back. In the moment he sees her smiling again, but the smile ain't for him. In the moment he watches her glow up, level up, and live a life she used to pray they'd have together. Except now she's doing it alone, or worse for him, with somebody else. Somebody who saw her worth the first time. Somebody who didn't need to lose her to realize she was the prize. You don't throw away a woman who would have had your back forever. You don't betray a woman who kept your secrets, lifted your head when it was hanging low, and spoke life into you when you were ready to quit. Because that woman, she wasn't just in your corner, she was your corners. She was your safe place. She was the peace in your storm. She was home. And once you lose that kind of woman, it hits different. You try to move on. You try to replace her. But nobody else laughs quite like she did. Nobody else talks to your soul like she did. Nobody else challenges you and comforts you all in the same breath. Because you didn't just lose a woman, you lost a woman. And you lost her not because she stopped loving, but because she finally realized her love deserved to be reciprocated, not just received. She needed someone who wasn't just proud to have her, but proud to hold her down too. Somebody who didn't just want her love, but wanted to protect it, honor it, and grow with it. And let me tell you, the pain that comes with losing a woman like that, it don't fade easy. Because everywhere you go, every new connection, every silent night, her absence lingers. Her impact echoes. Her love leaves a mark. And eventually, when the noise settles and the distractions fade, you sit with the weight of what you let go. And in that silence, in that heavy realization, you finally understand what slipped through your fingers. Let's talk about something that a lot of people don't see right away. He didn't just lose you. He lost the future he could have had with you. And I'm not talking about just a wedding or a home or some pictures on the wall. I'm talking about the life, the real future. The one filled with purpose, peace, partnership, and power. The kind of future that only comes when you've got the right woman by your side. See, when a man walks away from a good woman, he's not just walking away from the present version of her. He's walking away from the evolution of her, from the woman she was becoming, from the dreams she carried, not just for herself, but for both of them. A good woman doesn't just think about where y'all are. She's always thinking about where y'all are going. She plans, she builds, she envisions, and she sacrifices. So when she loves you, you're not just getting her, you're getting a lifetime of intentions wrapped in loyalty, prayer, and vision. And the thing about that kind of woman is, she wasn't just loving you for who you were. She was loving the man you were becoming. She was investing in your potential, even when you couldn't see it yet. She was showing up for a future that hadn't even been built yet. And that's powerful. That's rare. That's not something you can replace just because you found someone else who looks good on your arm. That woman, She was dreaming of your children before you ever talked about them. She was thinking about how to support your career while balancing her own. She was planning for peace in the home, a legacy, a love that could be passed down to the next generation. She wasn't just in love with the moment, she was committed to the journey. And when a man throws that away, he don't just lose her. He loses everything that was tied to her. You don't always realize it while you're in it. But a good woman has the ability to upgrade your entire life. Your mindset, your hustle, your peace, your circle. She'll challenge you when you're slacking, lift you when you're sinking, and celebrate you when you're winning. That kind of woman don't just sit back and watch. She builds with you. She believes in you. And when you stop showing up for her, when you stop matching that energy, that whole future starts to slip away. What happens next is what a lot of men go through, and they don't even talk about it. They start chasing pieces of what they had, trying to rebuild something with women who don't know the blueprint. Women who want the finished product but weren't there for the foundation. And it never hits the same because they're not building from love. They're building from loss, from regret, from memories they can't recreate. You don't just lose her, you lose what could have been with her. The house you never bought together, the family you never started, the businesses you never launched, the travel, the memories, the growth, the wins, all of it gone. And it's not that life won't go on, but that specific future, that version of life that existed with her at your side, that's gone forever. Because she was the key to that life. Not just any life, that one. Some men think they'll just rebuild it with someone else. But what they don't understand is a good woman puts a part of herself into that dream. She sows love, energy, time, tears, prayers, all of that into the future she sees with you. And once she takes that energy back, the dream collapses. Because it was never just yours. It was hers too. And now that she's gone, it don't live the same. You ever seen a man years later still talking about what we could have been? That's because he's living with that missing piece. He's out here doing life, but that picture he had in his head, it's empty in the corners. That feeling of home, of safety, of deep love, he ain't felt it again. Because it wasn't about just a relationship. It was about the life that came with that relationship. And that's the part nobody talks about enough. That kind of woman doesn't come twice. She might be quiet, she might be soft, but make no mistake, she's power. And when you had that, when you walked with that kind of light beside you, everything looked different. Food tasted better. Music hit deeper. Even the struggle didn't feel as heavy. She made it all make sense. And when that's gone, the world feels off. A little colder, a little louder. And you can't always put your finger on it, but it's because you lost the woman who was your future. And the truth is, sometimes you don't know the value of peace until you're stuck with noise. You don't know the weight she carried until it's back on your shoulder. You don't know the depth of her love until you're trying to swim in shallow waters. And by then you realize you weren't just losing a person. You were losing the life that person made possible. It ain't just about being lonely. It's about what you could have built together. The nights you could have shared. The goals you could have crushed. The legacy you could have left. That's the kind of loss that don't just sting, it lingers. Because no matter how far you go or who you meet, that voice stays in your head. That feeling stays in your chest. That name stays in your mouth, even when you're trying not to speak it. Because you didn't just lose her. You lost the life you were supposed to build with her. He lost you. He lost the woman he'll never find again. You know what hits a man the hardest? It's not the argument. It's not the breakup. It's not even seeing her pack her things and walk out that door. No, what really breaks him down, what truly cuts the deepest, is when he realizes he was loved by a woman who didn't have to love him. She chose to. She chose him when he was still figuring it out. When he was inconsistent. When he was lost. When he didn't know how to receive the love he was being given. She gave him the kind of love money can't buy and ego can't earn. Unconditional, patient, forgiving, deep. And that kind of love, that kind of woman, she don't just show up every day. That's not some common connection. That's not just another woman who came and went. That's the one who saw your potential before you saw it yourself. Who spoke life into you when the world was trying to tear you down. Who stayed silent when her pride told her to walk out. Who kept choosing you even on the days you didn't make it easy. It's easy to love somebody when everything's smooth. When life is good and y'all are laughing and taking pictures and eating good and looking cute. Anybody can do that. But a good woman, She loves through the messy part. She stays when the world's on your back. She covers you in prayer when you're sinking in self-doubt. She protects your name when you're not even in the room. And you think you made her feel safe. No, she was your safety. She was your anchor. She was your emotional home. And I'm telling you, once a man loses that kind of woman, there's a silence that follows. Not the kind of silence you can fill with music or noise or another woman. This is the silence that creeps in when he's alone. When he's scrolling through his phone late at night and her name ain't there. When he gets good news but don't know who to call. When he hears a song, smells her perfume on someone else, passes by a restaurant they used to love. That's when it hits. It's not just that he lost love, it's that he lost the one who loved him anyway. Through the mistake, through the growing pains, through the bad attitudes, the lack of communication, the fear of vulnerability. She stayed until she couldn't anymore. Until staying started to hurt more than leaving. And the coldest truth about losing a good woman, she didn't want to leave. She didn't walk out because she was bored or bitter. She walked out because she realized she was clapping for a man who stopped showing up for her. And now he's left with the memory of a woman who loved him hard. The kind of love that made him feel seen in a way no one else ever could. But you can't rewind time. You can't unbreak what's been broken too many times. And here's what he'll start to realize. She was the exception, not the rule. Most people don't love like that. Most people don't give second, third, fourth chances. Most people don't build while bleeding. Because she believed in who he was underneath all that hurt. She saw the king in the boy. She saw the promise in the mess. So now he's living with the reality that someone loved him in a way he didn't know how to handle at the time. And by the time he figured it out, she had nothing left to give. She had poured and poured and poured and nobody thought to pour back into her. That's what wears a woman down, not the struggle, but the silence. Not the fight, but the feeling that she's fighting alone. Not the flaws, but the fact that he never made the effort to change them. When he lost her because he thought she'd always be there. Because he mistook her patience for permanence. He thought he had more time, thought she'd never get tired, thought she'd always answer when he called, always forgive when he messed up, always be waiting on the other side of his growth. But here's the thing, no matter how deeply a woman loves, even she gets to a point where she chooses herself. And when that happens, she don't leave angry. She leaves done. She don't leave to prove a point. She leaves because the point has already been made. She leaves because she looked in the mirror and realized she was loving someone who couldn't or wouldn't love her the way she deserved. And once a woman like that walks away, she doesn't look back. Not because the love wasn't real, but because she's finally found peace. And that peace cost too much to give up again. And now he's left replaying everything. All the times he could have chosen her. All the moments he should have listened, softened, stepped up. He's out here wondering if she still thinks about him. And she might smile when a memory crosses her mind. But the difference is she's not waiting anymore. She's not hoping anymore. She's healing. She's rebuilding every day that passes. She's becoming a little more of the woman she was always meant to be without him. That's the heartbreak for him, knowing she loved him in a way he may never be loved again. Not because he's unlovable, but because that kind of love, that kind of great, kind of unwavering presence. That's once in a lifetime. You don't lose a woman like that and just go back to normal, because she wasn't just another chapter. She was the turning point. She was the reason the book even had meaning. He lost you. He lost a woman he'll never find again.